Some decisions are best made after acquiring more information. Some are best made immediately. Just as you need to constantly sort the big from the small when you are synthesizing what's going on, you need to constantly evaluate the marginal benefit of gathering more information. Good morning, everybody, and hope you all had a great start to the day. I am looking forward to today, and one of the things that I'm looking forward to most is reading for you. So we're still reading Ray Dalio Principles. It's a very thick book, and we're almost halfway. Look at this. We have read quite. We've read quite a lot of this, and it has been absolutely amazing. We're up to 5.7. Prioritize by weighing the value of additional information against the cost of not deciding. We're going to say hello to Spark Notes, the Owl with AWL, Renu Abakshi, and Cassie Blake is joined. Nice to meet you too. And ID 835904173. And on the Zoom, we also have a Mladen who has joined. Always good to see all of you. So let's get into the reading. And I'll share a little bit more about different things at the end. But first, let's do some learning, because for me, it's very motivating. It gives me some ideas to implement throughout the day. I'm always looking to improve and get better. And hopefully you are as well. And that is what is going to allow us to achieve our success. I've got the to-do list ready. I know what I want to achieve today. Let's go out and do that. But let's do some reading to get the day started right. I'm going to be doing some reading and, well, more listening in the car as well, because that's when I can't read, but it does allow me to be able to listen to some audiobooks and learn some more things to also implement throughout the day. Okay, I think we can actually start reading. The sneeze is not coming. Some decisions are best made after acquiring more information. Some are best made immediately. Just as you need to constantly sort the big from the small when you are synthesizing what's going on, you need to constantly evaluate the marginal benefit of gathering more information against the marginal cost of waiting to decide. People who prioritize well understand the following. A. All your must-dos must be above the bar before you do your like-to-dos. Separate your must-dos from your like-to-dos, and don't mistakenly slip any like-to-dos onto the first list. So for this reason, when I'm making my list of things that need to be done, I evaluate based on whether they are going to have an outcome and whether they are getting me closer to my goals. So I write down my list, and I'm able to then cross off lots of things that seem nice to do, but that are not really going to get me closer to my goals. So I do have break periods, and I have times where I will get other things done, and I might need to just quickly plug in the computer. It is saying to me that it needs some power. So let's swap that over from the other phone to the computer. There we go. Otherwise, I would lose you all. So, for example, this plugging in the computer is a must-do. It allows me to achieve my goal of being able to do my live with you. And if I didn't plug it in, then the live would not happen. So I wouldn't reach my goal. If, however, it was something different right now, I could be wanting to do some origami, or I could be wanting to do something else based on some of the things that are around here. Well, not really. I keep my office nice and clean, away from all the different things that are going to distract me. So you really want to be able to focus on the must-dos. And sometimes I get a little bit carried away by the must-dos. And don't take the time to rest. So you do need to have your break periods, but you want to make sure that you focus mainly on the tasks that are going to get you closer to your goals. One of the things that I mentioned probably every morning. B, chances are you won't have time to deal with the unimportant things, which is better than not having time to deal with the important things. I often hear people say, wouldn't it be good to do this or that? It's likely they are being distracted from far more important things that need to be done well. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware of something called Eisenhowers Matrix. A great tool. It allows you to separate the things that are urgent and important from the things that are not urgent and not important, and the things that are urgent, not important, and not important, urgent. So it allows you to categorize different tasks so that you can see and eliminate the things that have become urgent, because you want to have nothing that is urgent, and you want to then only really focus on things that are not urgent but are important. And that means that you're not under constant stress and time deadlines. It means that you are then working very, very smoothly. And it's something that I would highly recommend you look into. And there are some apps on the phones that you can use to implement Eisenhower's Matrix. And it is a great tool for being able to avoid the urgent and focus more on only the things that are important. Don't mistake possibilities for probabilities. Anything is possible. It's the probabilities that matter. Everything must be weighed in terms of its likelihood and prioritized. People who can accurately sort probabilities from possibilities are generally strong at practical thinking. They're the opposite of the philosopher types who tend to get lost in clouds of possibilities. So I've had to learn to be less of a philosopher. I love being in the clouds. Last night I had a dream about a theme park that I was at that was a Rothschild or a Rockefeller. I think it was a Rothschild world. And it was very interesting. And I could have stayed there for a lot longer, but I had to get up and get things done. So we really need to be able to figure out what is going to get us. So at the end of the day, we want to be able to look in the mirror and say, I've had a really good day. I really feel that I have spent my time well, and whatever that means for you. So for some people, it's going to be a little bit more downtime. For other people, they are very driven to very big financial successes. But whatever it is that is important for you, whatever it is you want to achieve, because there's no right or wrong answer. It's not a question of everybody has to achieve financial successes. Different people have different things that they like. There are certain people who will never pick up a book on finances because it does not interest them and is not something that they want. But if you know what your goal is, and you know what you want to achieve, and if you know what's going to bring you joy and happiness by the end of the day, so that you can look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, I have had a really good day. I feel that I have done the things that have brought me joy. I've done the things that have brought me the successes that I wanted. I've been with the people that I wanted to be with. Then you are going to be able to have that. That's what you're really, really aiming for. Okay, shortcuts for becoming a great decision maker. Great decision makers don't remember all of those steps in a rote way and carry them out mechanically, yet they do follow them. That's because through time and experience, they've learned to do most of them reflexively, just as a baseball player catches a fly ball without thinking about how he's going to do it. If they had to call each of the principles up from their memory and then run through their slow conscious minds, they couldn't possibly handle all the things that are coming at them well. But there are a couple of things they can carry out consciously, and you should do them too. And we'll go through those right now. 5.8, simplify. Get rid of irrelevant details so that the essential things and the relationships between them stand out. As the saying goes, any damn fool can make it complex. It takes a genius to make it simple. Think of Picasso. He could paint beautiful representational paintings from an early age, but he continually pared down and simplified as his career progressed. Not everyone has a mind that works that way, but just because you can't do something naturally doesn't mean you can't do it. You just have to have creativity and determination. If necessary, you can seek the help of others. So when it comes to decision making, I absolutely agree you want to simplify. However, from an art point of view, I would much rather a beautiful Da Vinci, and I know that it takes more time to create a Da Vinci than a Picasso, because I'm just more a fan of Da Vinci and I just love realism in art. But that is a totally different story. 5.9, use principles. Using principles is a way of both simplifying and improving your decision making. While it might seem obvious to you by now, it's worth repeating that realizing that almost all cases at hand are just another one of those, identifying which one of those it is, and then applying well thought out principles for dealing with it will allow you to massively reduce the number of decisions you have to make. I estimate by a factor of something like 100,000, and will lead you to make much better ones. The key to doing this well is 1, slow down your thinking so you can note the criteria that you are using to make your decisions. Write the criteria down as a principle. Think about those criteria when you have an outcome to assess and refine them before the next one of those comes along. So I used to know somebody who always used to say, if you do it more than once, then you want to systemize it and write it down and create a procedure around it. If you only do it once in your whole life, then there's no need to do that. Now you can take efficiency like that to an absolute extreme. I know somebody who has a switch to turn off the lights when they're in the bed so that they don't have to get up and turn off the lights. Different other things that really take it to a far extreme. But what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to have principles that you can rely on. We are like a computer software. We run in, we our brain is like little gates and on and off switches. And based on which chemical runs through them, which thing happens, experiences that we've had in the past, it's going to determine what we do and how we do it. So if we can create systems for being able to do things in the way that we're going to get the results that we want, life will be so much easier than if we make it up on the spot every single time. So if we're doing something on a regular basis, why not create a system around it? It doesn't have to be exactly the same as Ray Dalio's principles. Some things we might do slightly differently to the way that he does it. But having something similar to this, probably not this thick, but having something similar that we can call up for us to be able to also achieve things more easily is definitely something worth having. Identifying which one of those, each thing, is like identifying which species an animal is. Doing that for each thing and then matching it up with the appropriate principles will become like playing a game. So it will be fun as well as helpful. Of course, it can also be challenging. Many case at hand, as I call them, are hybrids. When a case at hand contains a few ones of those, one must weigh different principles against each other, using mental maps of how the different types of things I encounter should be handled. To help people do that, I created a tool called a coach, which is explained in the appendix. You can use your own principles or you can use others. You just want to use the best ones possible. If you think that way constantly, you will become an excellent principled thinker. So, as I say very often, there are shortcuts and more efficient ways to doing everything. And the key to that is to really find principles that work, other people's principles, your principles. Just really take the time to notice what happens when I make this decision. What can I do to improve it? So I do this a lot. So I will look at something. I will implement, and then I will, once I've implemented, I will have a look at whether it worked or not. And if it hasn't worked, what can I tweak? So one thing that sometimes happens to me is that I will obsess over something. And when I start obsessing, this is what I implement. So I will be working on something, and then I will look at it, and I'll think about it, and I'll meditate on it. And then I'll think, how can I improve it? And then I'll work on improving it. And then once I re-implement it, I'll see whether it could be improved further and further and further. And then I have a principle. I've created something that I implement in this way. Now, I don't stop that. That process continues and continues for a long time. So I will compare it to something else. Once I've found something that works really well, I will still test new things to see whether I can improve it further. And this is what we can do in our lives in order to be able to achieve greater success. So it's the small little things that really make a big difference. We don't have to give up our whole lifestyles. We don't have to do all of those different kinds of things. We just need to find ways of tweaking what we are doing and do things just slightly differently, and we'll start to see completely different results. And very often it's the small little things that add up to really big things. It's a little bit like the British cycling team. Before the London Olympics, the British cycling team was not really very good. They were not bad, obviously, but they were not famous for being like top cyclists. And they brought in a guy called Dave Brailsford. And Dave Brailsford was into small little changes, small little improvements. So he looked for slightly better pedals that would get a slight marginal 1% increase in performance because they were just oiled a little bit better and were a little bit smoother. He then started having a look at the sleep of his athletes, and he would look for pillows that would match each person. Rather than giving them all the same pillow, he'd look for a pillow that would give them all a 1% better sleep. He would look for a way to improve something else by one small little percent. And to most people looking at that, it would be an absolute waste of time because that 1% is not going to really do very much. But added up, all of those little 1% end up creating something very, very magical. And in this case, it led to the British cycling team being the most awarded gold medal team. They won so many medals, it was incredible. And they became the team to beat during the Olympics. They became the team that really outshone everybody else. And this is what we're looking for in our own lives. Where can we make those small 1% improvements? So, for example, for people who don't exercise but want to get into exercise, very often they think they need to get on their clothes and their shoes and go for a big run. Not the case at all, because that can be extremely demotivating. What you want to do is you just want to sit on the couch like you usually do and put on your runners and just sit there and then force yourself to stay there, because very often when you put on your runners, you feel like maybe doing a little bit. So you just sit there in your sneakers, just that tiny little step, that tiny little improvement for the first day. The second day, again, you sit on the sofa or you're on your couch and you put on your shoes and you might walk to the kitchen. By this stage, you really probably want to start doing something with these shoes because you feel quite motivated by it. And so you just take tiny, tiny little steps every single day, and it leads to incredible results. Okay, I think we need to leave it at that because I need to start heading off. But some really exciting and interesting things that we've put into that one, some great thoughts and ideas have come up. I'm always open to your ideas and thoughts as well. I've seen a couple of things coming in through the Bigo. Mladen sometimes sends his questions through. I love being able to have a back and forth on these. LIRSSSS, good to see you again. And Kurt Lucky also joined us once more. Somebody called a snowflake and a cold blue face joined as well. And Preston Stone asked if I can follow back. And yes, I will definitely do that. I like to go through at the end and say hello to lots of different people. So great to have you all here today. Really appreciate it. If you enjoy that, and if you obviously came in halfway through, Principles by Ray Dalio, we've been recording all of these sessions, and you can find them all at the YouTube channel, which is called The Passive Cashflow Club. So feel free to join us there and let us know your thoughts, leave your comments, ask your questions, and make sure that you subscribe, because we have been answering a lot of your questions. So feel free to send through questions and we will answer those. And if you subscribe, you'll know when the questions have been uploaded. They get uploaded about once a week, and that will allow you to be able to maybe come up with some solutions to some of the challenges that you have. So if you're subscribed, if you have asked a question, you'll know when your question's been answered. And if you haven't asked a question, you might come up with a question later and not right now. That's completely fine. But that means that you'll also get that notification. And it might be the answer to a question that you are grappling with at the moment. And that would be amazing if that's the case. So if you do have questions, if you'd like to get in touch, if you'd like to get to know me, I would certainly love to get to know you a bit better and see what kinds of things you think about the book, about what we've been talking about, whether you agree or disagree. I am open to everything. I'd love to have a chat about what you're doing investing-wise, or whether you're open to into or not into investing. Very keen to get to know more of you. So feel free to get in touch. You can send me a message on Instagram, business_team_6_official. I would love to be able to hear from you, get your questions, and be able to answer those for you. Also, if you are interested in some of the things that we are running, we have simulation nights, game nights, we have mastermind nights. We do a lot of these online and offline. We have networking nights, all sorts of really fun and exciting things that we do. So feel free to get in touch, and we can send you the information on how you can join us for all of those different things. And finally, I want to say thank you once again for joining. I'm going to start heading off and finishing this recording. But what I will do is I'm going to go across to the Big O and say hello to everybody over there. Follow everybody that has commented or sent some hearts. Lots of amazing people have been joining today. So look forward to that. Thank you so much again for joining. I'll see you all tomorrow and have an amazing day today. Remember to make the switch to unlock your rich. There's a shortcut and a more efficient way to doing absolutely everything. Go out and find that. Have an amazing day and go and get a little bit closer to your goals.